Is it on?
Yeah.
Oh.
So what are you doing on this video?
What's the purpose of this video?
Mm-hmm.
This is a quick follow-up video to the video I did on the Gainmaster.
Right.
It's hard to get everything in on one video, and nobody likes long videos, so I try to rush through it and all that. But I got a lot of good questions, and I want to try to answer some of those questions. The first one I'm not sure I hammered home is, why will that probably not work with your amp, but it works with my amps? And the simplest way to sort of show you that is you know, this amp is very low. Extremely low. Okay. And with that amp that low, just a straight guitar, there's a tremendous amount of sustain, body, full body and everything. So when this Gainmaster goes in and chases the sound out of this amp, what this amp would sound like turned up louder, I can do that because the amp sounds that good low. Your amp, your Marshall or your Fender isn't going to do that. If you take a blackface Fender or a Marshall and you put it on 1, it's going to have no body, no sustain. And then if you stepped on that Gainmaster in front of that amp, it would sound like 1,000 razor blades trying to rip your face off. Okay? Yeah, because I mean, it sounds like the amp. So this takes that sound to... It's basically because I have all of this that I can do that. I have all that body in the tone. Okay? So, I mean, that's what that's all about. Now, another good question I got is, why don't you just put that in the amp? Okay, well, there's a few reasons. The first reason is my amps have a reputation of not breaking. Okay, they just don't break on the road. I don't put foot switching in amps. That shit breaks, and I don't use it. In fact, there's no circuit boards in my amps. They're all hand wired, like they did in the 1920s. So with all of that, there's no way I'm putting foot switching in an amp. Another reason why that isn't in the amp is because I want that to draw off of its own power supply from the wall in a different fashion with different softness and hardness than I want the circuits in the amp. Yeah, that can be accommodated in the amp. It's a lot more complicated. But the main reason is, I'm not using this one on the floor today. I'm using the one that's on my pedal board today for that reason. Is every guitar player in the world has some sort of small pedal board. Okay, I found that that's the way it is now. And you really want that thing on your pedal board because there's effects you want before that and effects you want after that. Time-based effects after that blows away any effects loop you've ever heard. It just, your effects get so smooth and it's just amazing. And then, of course, you want effects in front of that would be color effects like phasers, flangers, blah, 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 fuzz boxes. And one of the things I didn't explain the other day is, you know, this thing isn't being used right now to simulate like a distortion box. It's being simulated to use, for instance, I'm going to turn this amp up to around 11 o'clock, okay? And, you know. Now, I've got the volume very low there on my guitar, you know. If I were to crack that volume up. Alright, now if I brought that amp up some more, to about 12 o'clock, you know, then I get even more. Right, I want to simulate that sound right there, about 11:30, down really low, because we don't want to play that loud. All right. So now, if I turn the volume all the way up on the guitar, I don't have the gain anymore, obviously. You know, so if I put my Gainmaster on, and it's set up in such a fashion that it'll give me about where I was there at 11 o'clock, right? So now, and I can get right back to, my low level sounds. And again, the camera can't hear the volume difference from that, just the tone. So, I'm getting the sound of that amp cranked up, or clean, depending on how hard I hit this thing. Now, suppose I want to put some fuzz in front of that, right? Well, you don't want to put fuzz in front of a totally clean amp. That doesn't sound good. So the Gainmaster is simulating a cranked amp. I want some fuzz. I'll kick on some fuzz. So those are effects you want in front of the Gainmaster, those types of effects. So basically what the Gainmaster is doing is at any volume you want, you can have the sound that the amp has cranked up. So people ask me all the time, how many watts are your amps? And it's kind of a useless question, because it shouldn't matter how many watts, because with this you can get anything you want at any volume. And wattage doesn't determine how loud something is anyway. That has to do with a lot of things of how an amp's built. The dB rating would be how loud something is. But with that device, I can put wattage in an amp, and for other reasons, like because I want more bottom end, so much I can't really get into explaining it. If you know about electronic design, you'd understand that. But I can get all that goodness in the amp and go this route here to get any volume I want. So anyway, those are some of the things clarified that I did not clarify, and you'll be happy to know that I'm done talking about the Gainmaster for a while.